And we're talking to Judge Andrew Shookoff and Mr. Earl Jordan, both of the Nashville juvenile justice system here in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, Judge, before we had our break, we promised that we would talk about the structure when we came back. And let us have you to talk about the structure of the juvenile justice system here in Nashville.
Okay. In terms of handling kids charged with crime, I think it's important for everybody to know that the vast majority of the cases that we deal with are cases that involve nonviolent offenses, misdemeanors and nonviolent property offenses. There are about 7% of our caseload that involve crimes against persons, and those are the ones that are the most troubling and the ones that we spend a lot of time on. But it's important to keep everything in perspective and not to recognize that that's a small but important percentage. The other thing that's important to remember is that last year, 95+% of the kids in school, we didn't see them at all. That is, those are the representative of the young people in our community, and we don't want to scapegoat an entire generation who are doing very well and who are really wonderful kids by focusing just on the ones that have problems. In terms of the bulk of the kids that are getting into minor mischief, our response as a juvenile court is to require that they do, at a minimum, public service work or community service work. So you will see kids helping paint over graffiti, helping with neighborhood cleanups, maintaining some of these little pocket parks that we have around the community, mulching trails or mulching flower beds in public areas, helping build a playground. Public service. The idea is that if you do something wrong, even when it's a minor offense, that you incur a debt to the community. You did something by your mischief, you need to make things even by paying back. And the way we do that is after school, on your weekends, in your vacation time, the time that you value, you give that back. Now, if you have if we sense you've got some kind of drug and alcohol problem, we will require that you go through a drug and alcohol assessment and that you follow whatever the recommendations are. If you have something where there's been a monetary loss to a victim, we will make you pay restitution to the victim. We may give, if the victim wants, we may require that you meet with the victim so that you can answer some of the questions, kind of face up to it, because I think that's, sometimes it's easier to face a judge than to face the person you harmed, and it's important to figure out how to make things right between you and the victim. So we do what's called victim-offender reconciliation or victim-offender conferencing some of the time. For the more serious offenders, or for the kids who don't respond to probation, those kids are either going to go on to the adult system or to the juvenile system counterpart of the adult system, that is to training schools or residential programs where you go out of the community. We try to deal with what your problems are, so when you come back to the community, you're less likely to get in trouble. But if you pose a risk to community safety, where you get dealt with is critical. And probation is for those kids that can safely be handled on probation if they either prove that they're not safe to do that by violating probation, or because the nature of their offense is so serious that we can't take the risk in the first place, we will send those kids on. We have about 40 probation staff who work out of 25 neighborhood offices in every housing development, in about 5 schools. We have a probation officer who went to Highland Heights Middle School as a child, who now has his office space there and knows that community. He's a resource. Part of that is because we can better suit